Hello, my friends. Long time no talk to. As you can see, I did have baby boy. I know a lot of you have sent me emails. You were very concerned. Appreciate all the concern. I'm going to unload a lot of information with you all and hope to not make this video a forever long video. But as you can see, I had baby boy. His name is Khalid Azan. You're going to give him a smile? Say hi. Say hi to our friends. You're going to say hi. Give them a little smile. Come on. There we go. Good job. I'm going to hand him off to his big bro. All right. Thanks, baby. All right. That way I can go through and unload a lot of information. My 16-year-old, we actually call him big bro, and the 7-year-olds, that was always a little brother before. We now call him little big bro, and then the new addition, we call him tiny bro to kind of, it's difficult because I have 3 boys and kind of now having the second be a big brother now, definitely got to be able to differentiate between all 3 of them. So kind of worked out a little system with the nicknames. But let me go ahead and kind of unload everything first about pregnancy. Pregnancy, everything, as far as my body wise, everything went really well. Pregnancy, I did not gain any weight throughout the entire pregnancy. And pretty much my body weight completely maintained exactly the same. Anytime I went to any visits, like I would have maybe up to like a 3-pound weight loss, and then that 3 pounds would end up coming back. So I completely was at a plateau as far as my weight. When I did actually give birth to baby boy, so baby boy was on the large end. I have seen and heard from a lot of other mothers that were solely on, proper human diet throughout their pregnancy as well. They also noticed that their keto, carnivore, proper human diet baby was on the larger end. So my previous 2, the oldest was 7-pound 8 ounce at birth. The second was 6-pound 1 ounce. And baby boy, he was 10-pound 1 ounce. So definitely a lot larger than the previous 2. And mind you, the previous 2, I was on the standard American diet. What I can attest is most definitely I felt so much better as far as the energy that I had. I was still working actually all the way up until the day before my C-section. I had worked my full-time shift. I did not do like a half a day or anything like that. So my maternity leave did not start until the actual day of my C-section, which was August 28th. So felt amazing, felt a lot of energy. Did not have any morning sickness at all, which was amazing because with the previous 2 being on the standard American diet, I was definitely sick the entire pregnancy for both. So to be able to have that elimination of having morning sickness throughout those 2 previous pregnancies and not having any at all, not even the initial first trimester, nothing. So it was truly amazing. So as far as the way that my OBGYN office handled for me to mention that I do a ketogenic way of eating. I did share on one of the lives that Cindy DeMange and I do that I am very blunt, open, and honest when it comes to the doctors, because obviously I am wanting to see this person and it has to kind of be understanding on both ends, and I'm gonna most definitely go to these visits with integrity, honesty. I am not anyone that would ever stand on lying. That's not who I am as a person. I've always felt that, if you lie, one day everything is going to come to light. Truth will always surface. So I do not ever feel the need to lie. It's not within me. It's not my character. It's not my integrity. So I was very blunt, open, and honest with them. They did want to do the glucose drink test with me. I declined that only because a lot of the research that I did and feedback from other mothers that have long term been on the proper human diet. So we're talking about numerous years of being on the proper human diet, which my family as well as myself, we had started January of 2019. And come this January 1st of 2025, we are going to actually be 6 years on the ketogenic way of eating, the proper human diet. So for me to have been so long term on this way of eating, I definitely took the advice of other mothers out there when it came to their pregnancies, being on the proper human diet. They actually went through an experience where doing the glucose drink, they actually experienced a false positive. So I took their advice, took their suggestion to request the doctor instead that I would be more than willing to do an HbA1c. So the HbA1c, it was done through blood work. So they did have to draw blood, and it took, I want to say it took about 2 days for me to actually get the results. And the results is showing a 3-month range of what your blood sugar levels kind of look like. So if anything, I felt like it was more of an advantage for the OBGYN because they were able to truly see the time span of 3 months. So I kind of use that to my advantage to sway them to do the HbA1c. Thankfully, I would want to say, with a lot of resistance on their end, they kind of just settled and finally gave into it. I will say I did have to end up seeing a fetal specialist. That was the other compromise that the OBGYN office wanted to make with me, because they were not more so concerned about baby. They were kind of a little freaked out because I was not gaining any weight as I was seeing them. So going to the fetal specialist, I had to go every 4 weeks, starting at, I want to say it was starting at month 5 that I started with the fetal specialist. So that definitely got to be difficult because, as I said, I was still working full time. I homeschool our boys full time. So throwing the mix of not only having OBGYN appointments, but also having to go to a fetal specialist every 4 weeks, it got to be a lot. It also started interfering with my attendance to the YouTube lives that we do Friday nights. There was times where the duration of the visit would end up go over and so close into when I would either have to be starting to set up for the live or when I would actually have to be on the live itself. So I definitely had issues when it came to my attendance and my availability to do my passion of attending those lives, as well as creating content on here for you all. So through the fetal specialist, every 4 weeks they did an ultrasound. So that to me was the true silver lining to going to those visits, were being able to see baby, being able to truly have that witness of the activity that he had. And he definitely was a big character in the womb. Out of the womb, he's the same way. He's always smiling. A lot of times it's almost as if he's like speaking certain words, because I would say hi to him and it kind of sounds like he's saying hi back to me. But he's very interactive with us, for him just only being just 10 weeks as of this, actually yesterday. So that is pretty much a nutshell of what kind of transpired through the pregnancy with the OBGYN. So as some of you are aware, it was March of last year, March of 2023. It was 3 months into my carnivore journey, because I started carnivore, it would have been January 1st of 2023. I first started off with beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, with the elimination, I should say, of pig bacon. I did end up finding some beef bacon. Unfortunately, the availability is not very good. It ended up being points where it either sold out or the store ended up discontinuing because I'm having a feeling they also had a hard time getting it in stock as well. So that's what I initially started for the first 60 days, and then started my reintroduction phase. So at that 3 month mark, I started getting tinnitus in my left ear. So ringing of the left ear is what I started getting. I started having a lot of brain fog. I had no clue what it was because being on the carnivore way of eating, energy wise, I felt really good. Inflammation wise, I definitely noticed there was a lot of inflammation that came off of me, because I had before and after picture comparisons each month. So it definitely showed that the scale was not telling the full story, that truly the pictures were showing how much recomposition my body was actually going through. So I felt absolutely amazing. But it was actually May of 2023 that I ended up getting a severe vertigo attack. It was so severe that I actually was rushed by my husband to the emergency room. I freaked out the ER doctors, to the point that two of them made the decision and told my husband that we don't know how many days she's going to stay admitted, but she's most definitely going to be admitted, because of the condition that she's in. There's definitely something very serious going on. So when I was there at the hospital, throughout the time that I was there, I was actually in the observation ICU because of just the way I kind of looked. They kind of said that I kind of had a look like my life was leaving my body, is what one of the doctors actually said. So when I was there, they did do a lot of imaging. One of the images, that they found results on was an MRI that they did of my brain. So through that, they had found that I had, so all of us have white matter when it comes to our brain. So my white matter, what they noticed is my white matter was actually showing signs that it was degenerating. Upon discharge, I was told to follow up with a neurologist. At that time, it was near impossible for me to get in with a neurologist. There were wait lists that were 1 year plus to see a neurologist. So to kind of give a little bit of kind of like a wrap up of 2023 without any kind of pinpointing of what might have changed, July of 2023, so 2 months after I was admitted at the hospital, the tinnitus as well as the vertigo episodes completely went away. As I said, I can't pinpoint what possibly caused it to go away because I had not changed anything. Nothing about the way that I was eating. The hospital, the doctors actually said, go ahead and continue the way you're eating because they felt like the way that I was eating saved my life, because they felt like because I made my way of eating more simple, going carnivore, and less complicated, they felt like that is why my body revealed to me that there was something actually going on. So fast forward to my last month of pregnancy. So my C-section was scheduled for August 28th of this year. I ended up starting to get the tinnitus in that last month. So the beginning of August, the tinnitus still in my left ear had started again. Then the day before my C-section, as I said, I worked my full-time shift at work, and I was about to actually sit down and just have a little bit of something to eat. I had just taken a shower, and as soon as I took like maybe 2 bites of the food, I immediately, the room started fast spinning. So I ended up having a very severe vertigo attack yet again. So that actually led to my norm of what happens when I get the severe vertigo. I end up getting very nauseous. The nausea actually does not subside for probably until like 45 minutes to an hour. Once my body kind of has nothing but like stomach bile left to come up, that is only at the point in time where I could literally get off of the bathroom floor and be able to actually rest in bed. I'm still having the severe vertigo at those moments in time, even once the nausea should subside. I'm still having severe vertigo, still having balancing issues. So it definitely is a struggle, even once that nausea subsides, to actually get in the bed because, as I said, I still experience a lot of imbalance. But I am literally useless after a severe vertigo episode because all I could do is just lay in bed and just sleep it off. And my body sometimes is out for 2, 3, sometimes anywhere up to like 5 to 6 hours. Um, it just literally just sleeps off, and it's kind of like almost like the feeling like I am dead to the world because I don't even realize until I wake up how long my body really truly needed to rest off the severe vertigo attack. So it had caused me to have my husband rush me to the hospital that day before my C-section. So August 27th, I was in the hospital. They were afraid that I was going to be a fall risk. They were afraid because I was pregnant. And ultimately, they were afraid that I would have interfered if I should have gotten injured with the scheduled C-section date. That was that morning, August 28th. So they decided to keep me admitted overnight. So I actually ended up that first week, my duration at the hospital was actually from that Tuesday, August 27th, and I was in the hospital all the way up until that Saturday. I was there until that Saturday because unfortunately the nurses, they were really truly making a big deal of baby boy's weight loss. I try to explain to them it is not the first time that I'm a breastfeeding mother or that I'm a mother at all. Like I did have two previous pregnancies. The kids, they do have their age gap because I had suffered with infertility. So I can attest that was another big, huge non-scale victory going carnivore because a few days prior to my 1 year anniversary of going carnivore was when I had found out that I was pregnant with our third child. So I definitely feel that 1 year definitely helped me when it came to my hormones and being able to actually truly be fertile. Um, I really feel and attest to carnivore helping with that. But as far as our kids having their age gap, the oldest one just turned 16. The second born, he's about to turn 8 the end of January. And then, of course, we have baby boy that just turned 10 weeks old. So I am not a new mom, is what I try to explain to them without trying to be rude. And they still wanted to make a big deal about his body weight. So they kept us there until that Saturday, and we did not get discharged because of all the fuss that they made until around 8 p.m. I was very stressed. I felt very drained, very exhausted because I was just ready to be home. And, it wasn't the best coming home when you leave the hospital after 8 p.m. We could not take the pictures or like the memories that we wanted to capture that day. We couldn't take them because we came home in complete darkness. So we did have a few photos that we took as far as like in the house. So we kind of had that. And then, as the staff was kind of getting my discharge paperwork ready, we had some photos that we took there at the hospital. But fast forward to that following week, that Tuesday, I actually, for my C-section, they had given me what is called a Surgi-Seal. So it is a seal that was made out of silicone. And the OBGYN actually joked that my insurance is phenomenal, that's why she decided to give it to me. So I don't know about all of that. But just kind of me doing the research with this silicone Surgiseal, it kind of makes it less likely that you would get any infections because it's supposed to be a really good seal, is what it provides. So that Tuesday morning, when I went to the restroom, because I was wearing Depends, because obviously, you just have a baby, so you're wanting to take precaution when it comes to, not having any sort of like leakage get all over the place. So I was wearing a Depends woman's diaper, and I had noticed at the top of the Depends there was some blood. So it had me, rush to the bathroom mirror, and I had just kind of pulled back a little bit of my little C-section pouch, pulled back my stomach, and noticed that there was blood within that Surgiseal, that silicone seal. So I rushed to my husband, told him, there's blood there. I don't know what's going on because I could not see well enough, because of course there is that seal, and because it's silicone, it kind of is like a cloudy type of material. It's not very clear that you're able to see the incision. So I didn't know if the incision had opened or not, was my concern. So he wanted to call the ambulance. I told him I do not want to go by ambulance. I do not want to cause that kind of excitement in the neighborhood. So I ended up just, being driven by my husband to the hospital. So when I was in the ER, when they were just checking vitals, as they do, checking temperature, checking blood pressure, my blood pressure was extremely high. So my blood pressure, when they checked it, was 190 as far as the systolic number, and the diastolic was 100. So at that range for both the systolic as well as the diastolic, they freaked out because they didn't know if my body was going through preeclampsia. If not preeclampsia, they didn't know if I was possibly having like a heart attack, a stroke. So they immediately called the labor and delivery, the maternity floor, to find out what exactly they wanted to do with me. Because of course they still had to check the incision. So I was rushed to the maternity floor, where they do observations as well as the vaginal deliveries. So, kind of to make everything a little bit of a nutshell, I was kept at the hospital for a total of 4 days, due to the blood pressure. So they had to try all different kind of ways to get my blood pressure under control. I can definitely say I did experience a lot of stress there, because on one arm I had a blood pressure cuff that was going off every hour to check my blood pressure. Then I had an IV on my other arm that was providing fluids to me, and whatever, medications they wanted to test when it came to my blood pressure. And on top of it, baby was in the room. He was very irritable. He was very uncomfortable. Anytime my husband took him home, he was completely fine and calm. So my husband said that it's definitely just the vibes of the hospital that probably was triggering him to be irritable. Because, as I said, those moments of him being home when my husband came and checked on our other two boys, he was completely fine. Like, he was at peace when it came to his attitude and just, his overall personality. So that also stressed me out, to see baby was upset, feeling irritable. Also, the bed, because the bed is meant only for a short period of time of observation or to do a vaginal birth, the bed was very uncomfortable because it was not a bed that was meant for anybody to stay long term. Nonetheless, to stay so many days, like I had to stay with that second admittance. So, ever since I had gotten discharged, they had told me the same, like what I was told last year, was to follow up with a neurologist. They also wanted me to check in with an ENT, so an ears, nose, and throat doctor. So, I first started off initially with the ears, nose, and throat doctor because when it came to that specialist, I was able to get in to see someone almost kind of like right away. So weeks on out from when I was discharged, I saw an initial ears, nose, and throat specialist. I wish I could tell you that that visit went well, but the doctor was conflicting from what his audiologist had said. So that kind of had me weary that he would go against what her findings or what her report had said. And then also, he wasn't so sure with me breastfeeding what approach he wanted to take. So it's safe to say I did not go back to that office. So I did a lot more brainstorming, a lot more researching, and found another ears, nose, and throat doctor that came very highly recommended. And with their office, I was at a huge advantage because they were really, truly wanting me to be my own advocate and wanting to support me with what I was wanting to do. So the ears, nose, and throat doctor that I saw with the new office, she was very low suspecting I have something called Meniere's disease, only because of the tinnitus, the severe vertigo, and also because it had started last year, went away, and then came back. So she said just kind of hearing just the symptoms and then the timeline, that's what she initially would think, but she said that she is not 100% sure. Also because I have some underlying things going on, such as the blood pressure issue, and as well as what is going on when it comes to, in terms of what showed on the MRI scan with the white matter degeneration. So she said that it's hard to pinpoint without doing a lot of testing. So I really truly have tried all these months since I've been discharged from the hospital to try and see a neurologist. Thankfully, one of the neurology offices that I called and got waitlisted with, they actually have called me that they had a cancellation, and I was able, thankfully, to go and see them this week. So today is Thursday, November 14th. So I actually just saw them on Tuesday and had my appointment with them. So what they're wanting to do is a couple different things in terms of testing. They want to do an MRA of my brain, as well as, give me 1 second, someone is actually knocking on my door and I want to see who it is. All right, sorry about that, everyone. Apparently there are updates with our electric company in the area, so if somebody that wanted to kind of discuss and go over that. For me personally, I do not answer the door if my husband's not home. That is me. I don't care what anyone wants to say, woman power, being an independent woman. No, there are crazy stuff happening, especially around our area in South Florida. So I will not take any chance of opening the door if he is not home. And there's a lot of times he doesn't even open the door himself because of crazy things that have happened. So kind of getting back, so the MRI of the brain from last year, only because it showed that white matter degeneration, the neurologist that I had seen had also mentioned that she was able to access the neurologist's actual personal notes on the hospital system. And I just want to make sure I'm going to say this correctly to you all, because I actually wrote it down when I had my appointment with her. But she said that the doctor had noted that the white matter changes, that it was more likely related to microvascular pathology. So with it being related to microvascular pathology, she said that that definitely might correlate with what's going on with my blood pressure. So she is completely aware that I am on a very clean way of eating. So she also said, do not make any changes when it comes to your way of eating. I actually have my food here. So I can actually show you all. I actually have a leftover T-bone steak that I heated up, and I have 4 eggs here. So I'm definitely still eating the way that I always have. I have incorporated, though, I will say, I have incorporated electrolytes, and this is actually not affiliated at all, but this is the salty. This is a Keto Chow brand. This is their caramel vibes. There are two flavors that I absolutely love. Is the caramel vibes and then the coco loco. Those are my two favorite. I absolutely love them. So I have incorporated the electrolytes. It's definitely helped because, as I said, I am breastfeeding, so hydration wise, it's definitely a huge benefit for me. But then also eating this way, I have no issues at all when it comes to my breast milk supply. So I'm going to keep on keeping on the way that I've been eating. And then also, the doctor doesn't feel any need for me to make any changes. But she has a feeling that it's something going on when it comes to my blood vessels. She said possibly also something going on heart wise. She said that if they don't do testing to pinpoint what is going on, she said that with that white matter degeneration, she said I will definitely be a very high candidate, and it would be very likely that I would experience dementia, and then in return experience Alzheimer's disease. Definitely, that is not two things I want to go through, because I don't want to ever be a burden on my spouse, or to be burdened on my children, even when they become adults. I don't want to have to do that. So I'm going to do the best that I can through whatever testing she's wanting me to do, as well as keeping up with the way that I've been eating. I am hoping, because thankfully I have the tinnitus, but I have not had a severe vertigo episode, and it's almost going to be 2 weeks, thankfully. So I did purchase a stroller for little guy. I actually have a baby carrier that my husband wears. The few times that we've actually taken him out to some stores, when he actually got his immunizations, we felt more comfortable to go out and about with him. Um, but still yet, we want to be able to go out walking, and I know it's going to be a lot more comfortable for baby if he's in a stroller, because him just being able to kind of sit there and be able to view whether he wants to look at the sky, look at us, it's going to allow him to look at his surroundings instead of being kind of restrained in the baby carrier, because really truly the only view he has is my chest. And I'm sure he enjoys that, being a breastfed baby, to be able to have his food supply right there in his face. But still, yeah, I want him to be able to experience, the environment when we're walking, to be able to enjoy the view around him. So the walking is definitely going to help me, because I know when it came to the walking, when it came to the point of having such a busy schedule between full-time working, full-time homeschooling, and then keeping up with the fetal specialist appointments as well as the OBGYN appointments, I was not able to get physical activity in like I normally would have. So I'm sure that also kind of took a toll on my body as well. So to be able to kind of get out there and walk is definitely going to be a huge benefit for me. And the neurologist absolutely agrees. So I have coming up next week, I have a VNG test, which is going to be a balancing test. So you all can kind of look it up. I looked it up myself, watched a bunch of videos about a VNG test. So that's going to provide whatever answers it will. And she did schedule for me to have an MRA of my brain, as well as an MRA of my neck. So I did also go to a chiropractor. I found an amazing chiropractor. She is a complete and utter sweetheart. We've actually exchanged cell phone numbers. So she'll text me, and she's just such a beautiful person. The first time that I met her just for a consultation,
She even hugged me and walked me to the door when I left because she really felt for me and felt for what I was going through, especially, being postpartum. You want to be able to just build memories and have, those initial months and weeks with baby to just be full of just joy and happiness. And they definitely have been, because I have so much to be grateful for. I truly am blessed. But to have those moments where I am sick and to have the tinnitus linger on all the time can truly kind of be annoying. So she's been really, truly a godsend. I had my very first adjustment with her Friday of last week. And I can just tell you, when she adjusted my neck, she had told me that she actually wished that she had recorded it because she felt like it would have gone viral on TikTok. Because when I tell you all, my neck, when she adjusted it, it was almost as if like water would have hit hot grease. That is how much of an adjustment it was. Like true on, like crackling is what you heard. And she said in all her decades of being a chiropractor, she has never had anyone's neck make the sounds that my neck had made. So that's why she felt like the video would have gone viral, not only with just everyday people, but also with other healthcare professionals as well. She felt like they would have been so in awe and fascinated by the noises that came from my neck. But come that, so that was last week, Friday. This Sunday, I actually, for the very first time since the beginning of August, my tinnitus actually went away for a few hours. It did come back eventually. It did come back Sunday evening, but it was not as loud of a ringing as I've always heard before. So, definitely, there might be something going on when it comes to the nerves, as well, possibly also in the neck. The chiropractor as well as the neurologist also mentioned that, your brainstem is like literally like right there, when it comes to the head and the neck. So they also said that that could also be a possibility as well, that if I basically have any sort of damage in my neck, it could actually cause, they said that it could cause like these spurts, these discharges from the neck through the brainstem and impact, and also could possibly cause the white matter degeneration. So that's just kind of something that they put out there. So that's the reason being why they also want to do the MRA of the neck included as well. Despite what the neurologist said at the hospital last year, um, they still want to do all full on research and testing that they're able to. And I'm so appreciative for it, because I am definitely a data type of person. I like to see the data. I am not the type of person that ever wants to be medicated unless you can truly give me answers for what you're going to, number one, diagnose me with, and number two, what you're trying to medicate me with for that particular diagnosis. That way I could be the judge and my own advocate if I even want to go the medication route, or doing research to see if there's possibly any homeopathic, unmedicated ways of, taking an approach of healing. So that is basically in the nutshell of what's been going on lately with me. It definitely has made things kind of difficult, because I am home with all three kids every day, other than when my husband's home Saturday and Sundays. Thankfully, my maternity leave, it was actually going to be over. It would have been October 24th was when I would have been going back to work. I would have actually had parental bonding time, 6 weeks that I could take. Thankfully, my employer, the leave department is absolutely amazing. So when I called and spoke to a representative, because I was going to actually put in for the 6 weeks of bonding time, She had told me that to talk to my specialist to possibly see if they would do an extension of my short term disability, because she said that it would not be right or it would not be fair for me to take my parental bonding time because I'm sick right now. It is not true bonding the way I would want it to be if I was fully well. So I'm so thankful for that representative, because the specialist was more than willing, because she sees firsthand what I'm going through and has been very empathetic for me as well. So I'm really thankful because she was actually able to provide me until, I want to say, she gave it up until uh, the Tuesday that is the week of Thanksgiving, I believe. So come that Wednesday would be my return to work date. But as I said, I still have 6 weeks of parental bonding that I would be able to put in. So I'm thinking of calling the leave department, sometime either this week or next week, to call in and request for them to kind of gather the paperwork for me to do the 6 weeks of parental bonding time. That way I can truly kind of get into a routine of still homeschooling the boys, as well as getting some walking time in and not have to worry about work at all right now, and truly just focus on the walking, continuing to eat the proper human diet, as well as being able to go through all the testing and to try to get some answers before going back to work. That definitely is going to make a lot more sense, to have some answers and to have a action plan before I have to go back to work full time. So I just wanted to be sure to update you all. I do have plans on popping in here and there and providing some content, because I do want to kind of get my body into a routine of doing what it normally used to do. When it comes to the YouTube lives, that is something at this point in time would be very tricky for me to do. I don't want to end up feeling sick on a YouTube live and then have to, completely drop off all of a sudden, or, to last minute have myself cancel on Cindy, because I really truly felt bad for the times that I had to cancel with her. She's a beautiful person. So she would always understand. And I love that so much about her. She is an amazing friend, but I don't want to do that to somebody. So for me, I will feel bad. And that is the last thing that I need to add on myself, is to feel guilt or to feeling bad. So it's just best for me at this point in time to wait on the YouTube lives and to come back to them when I truly am feeling better, because that is when I will ultimately enjoy them only that much more, is if I'm feeling fully better. So that is pretty much what I wanted to update you all on. If anyone has any questions, I am truly an open book. I just wholeheartedly share with transparency, because you never know who is going through the same thing out there. So I like to share as much as I can. So if anyone has any questions when it came to proper human diet pregnancy, currently what I'm going through right now, health wise, whatever it may be, go ahead and drop your questions and I will try to get an answer back to you as soon as I can. So, for all of you that have been there, provided me such amazing support, love, prayers, from the bottom of my heart, I truly appreciate you all. I can't even express into words how much it has meant to me. I know a lot of you have also sent me emails to see if I had baby, that you guys wanted to gift something. For me, don't worry about gifting anything. Thankfully, with me still having the extension of my short term disability, I'm able to thankfully, um, thank God, I'm able to get 60% of my pay still. And then once I'm able to start the paid parental, that's going to be 100% of my pay for that 6 weeks. So I feel truly blessed. I'm able to provide for my family with a second income. My husband, he does such an amazing job as a provider as well. So we are not truly in need. So thank you so much for thinking of us in that way that you would want to give something. My request, if you're wanting to do something in my honor, make a donation to either like one of your local food banks, because we have the holidays coming up and there's so many that are not so fortunate. There's so much that we could still need, because as I said, the testing I have to go through, they do come with very high cost, but I know God will always provide a way when it comes to those. So donate locally to truly those who truly, truly need it. They don't have the means to provide for themselves. Do a donation is what I'm going to request of you all. There's nothing Baby Boy needs. This time around, my third round, I've definitely learned to kind of stick to the basics. There's not everything he's going to need like I would have done for my first child. You go truly through that excitement of going shopping and going on a huge spending spree in the baby department. Definitely, as I had my second, I learned a lot, and now having the third, I definitely have learned a lot more to kind of just stick to the basics and truly only what he needs. So there's really nothing he needs at this point other than what dad and I are providing to him. So again, thank you for that though. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. As always, my friends, thank you all for being there for me. Thank you all for watching. And until the next one, take care, my friends.